Unitarians have a long history with Buddhism. It goes way back to the 1800s. Here in the United States, the fascination with Buddhism was launched partly by the Transcendentalists, our rascally, subversive ancestors. The Transcendentalists wanted to locate their religion and their philosophy in transcendental principles derived from the inner dimension of a person's spiritual understanding. This includes the mental essence of being human, which involves curiosity, experience, and the ability to question in a world of mystery. Now, at the times, this was highly unusual. Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Margaret Fuller, to name a few, were intrigued by Buddhist philosophy. In fact, the Dial, the publication the Transcendentalists produced by those New England Transcendentalists, our Unitarian ancestors, had a prominent role in raising interest in Eastern traditions here in the United States. For example, in 1844, the publication in the Dial, that was the very first English translation of the Lotus Sutra. The Lotus Sutra, a sutra means thread, by the way, is an extremely important text from Mahayana Buddhism. These teachings from the East influenced experiments in simple living, especially as explored by Thoreau and Emerson, and even Walt Whitman. Many of you are familiar with Walt Whitman, Unitarian, also admitted that his writing was influenced by Eastern philosophy. So this morning, I bring to you the topic of chants and mantras to glance back at our collective past in order to address one of our Unitarian Universalist values, and that's pluralism. The value of pluralism, what it means is that we aspire to embrace diverse theological understandings, including those that emerge from traditions outside of the United States. Although our UU principles are a little bit less at the center of our aspirations, we now have the values. The former fourth principle is addressed well here. This is the one that speaks to the fact that we believe in the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Not the truth, but for truth and meaning. And it's responsible. I hate it when people say, "What are UUs?" Oh, they believe in anything. That is not true. That is not true. We believe in a responsible search for truth and meaning. We don't indoctrinate individuals here in Unitarian Universalism. That's not our purpose. Instead, we are here to assist one another on a journey that is spiritual, that is filled with deeper meaning, reflecting on the original meaning of spirit, which is wind or breath. We aspire to be with one another on a journey that is life-enhancing, since we are living, breathing beings, diverse in every way. So ours is a highly individualistic tradition, even to a fault, some say, and yet, especially here at Unitarian Universalists of Clearwater, we are working hard to move away from an I-centered congregation to a we-based community, whereby we wish to preserve ways that support our congregation as a whole. We Unitarian Universalists not only support one another in each person's personal journey, we also affirm communal practices, including the incorporation of chants and mantras. Now, as I've said, a mantra may simply be one or more sounds, and it may or may not have meaning. It is repeated over and over again to enhance concentration. The earliest mantras were composed in Vedic Sanskrit in India at least as long ago as 3,000 years ago. Blogger Shobha Nayam, and I think this is comical, she says, mantras are Sanskrit phrases. Sanskrit is the language that's used in Hinduism, by the way, which is the tradition whereby Buddhism emerged. Buddhism continues to use Sanskrit. These phrases are repeated quietly for a specific million number of times, she said. Perhaps Shobha Nayam is referencing a practice common in yoga circles. As an aside here, yoga also rose from Hinduism. For example, it is common custom on the International Day of Peace for people to sit with one another and to chant the word peace, just the word peace, 108 times. It is a metta approach to releasing the concept of peace out into the universe. Metta is a method of chanting that encourages the practitioner to radiate love and compassion to all beings, including ourselves. It's expressing an all-encompassing love that transcends barriers and coaxes a sense of universal peace, acceptance, and care. The chant, may I be filled with loving kindness, may you be filled with loving kindness, may we be filled with loving kindness, may all be filled with loving kindness, is a metta chant. It's actually located in our teal hymnals, number 1031, by the way. So when you see the news and you're concerned about Palestinians, what's happening in Gaza, hunger, maybe you will say to yourself, maybe you will close your eyes in a metta chant, peace, peace, peace to other countries, peace. Do we know that it makes a difference? I don't know. Science hasn't told us that. What we know is that to wish another peace, a complete strangers in another part of the world, can never be a bad thing. The science of the butterfly effect years ago. Perhaps it does make a difference. Some has asked if there's a difference between a chant and a mantra. I won't argue one definition over the other. The terms are part of our vocabulary. For example, most of us have heard the expression Gregorian chants rather than mantras, and Buddhist mantras rather than chants. In the proverbial, very popular thesaurus, they're interchangeable. While a mantra tends to be associated with words, a chant can be represented as a repeated rhythmic phrase or notes to which an indefinite number of syllables are intoned. It may be a short musical passage in two or more phrases. So attaching music to a mantra or a chant assists meditation. It fosters a feeling of calmness, perhaps. Adding music can make it, if not a spiritual experience, at the very least, a deeply moving encounter. For example, consider this very popular Hindu mantra, Om Mane Padme Hum. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. I've asked Jeremy, it means in Sanskrit, praise to the jewel in the lotus. I've asked Jeremy to share this, it's a little piece that's part of an original, do we have it? Pardon? Does somebody have a cell phone? Would they look up, would you take your cell phone and look up Om, O-M, M-A-N-I, P-A-D-M-E in YouTube? Anybody do that for me? And I'll share it with you. It's really too good not to share. Sorry, Jeremy, if I didn't send it to you. O-M, M-A-N-I, P-A-D. You have it? James, thank you. I'll play just a little bit of it. Yeah, I think it's in YouTube. I'll pull it up on YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. You can meditate while I'm looking. Thank you for that reminder. Oh, there you go. Let's see if I can. So you have the idea, right? 23 minutes. Thank you. That goes on. If you need a little help meditating, consider playing that quietly. So that was written by the Tibetan Buddhist monk Geshe Wangchen, who was ordained in the 14th century. Lovely, right? Am I the only one? Do you find that lovely? Once you heard it, thank you. So there was an artist in Indianapolis, and when I would walk into his studio, that was playing over and over. And I find myself, even to this day, I notice I take a breath. There are songs that can lead us back to the breath. For me, that's one of them. So regardless of how one embraces a chant as a prayer or simply as words or sounds, sans meaning, research reveals that group chanting of a recitation or mantra can synchronize the brain waves between the participants, achieving yet another level of collective effect. As has been shown between musicians, you'll notice often, jazz musicians especially, there's a point when you can just tell, even though they don't have written music in front of them, they're all working and synchronized. So that little quote was from Your Brain on Om, The Science of Mantra by Gabriel Axel, A-X-E-L, if you want to know more. Although I have highlighted mantras from Buddhist tradition, may I remind you that chanting is also found in Christianity, Catholicism, Sikhism, Jainism, Judaism, Islam, earth-based traditions, and yes, Unitarian Universalism. Disagree with me? What do we say every week at the end of our gatherings? Go in peace, go making peace, live gently, love mightily, and bow to the mystery. This mantra reminds us to go back to the world with a mind and heart of peacefulness, calmness, and love. I love that you all do this. Did you know that not all UU congregations say that? Some say this one because of congregational polity. That means each congregation gets to decide how they organize their Sunday service and governance, by the way. Love is the spirit of this congregation or church, some say. Service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. That's beautiful, isn't it? So regardless of whether it's stated aloud in a group setting or whispered to yourself at a time of quiet reflection, a mantra is an excellent way to center yourself, to lower your blood pressure even, to remind yourself to breathe and essentially find a little bit of balance in a world that does not support much balance. Speaking on her experience of saying a mantra with others in the room, Harvard Divinity student Anne-Marie Mall said, quote, "As we chanted together, our frequencies merging, it was like becoming part of one heartbeat." She added, "A mantra can be defined as that which protects the mind. Regular chanting of mantras can bring about all the benefits of creating preventive measures against inappropriate thoughts lodging themselves in the mind." When I was younger, quick to anger might have been part of my personality. And then I began, maybe somebody told you this, I want to count to 10 before you say anything. There's a mantra. Peace, peace. By participating in collective chanting, we become part of one heartbeat, and with the sounds we make, the mantra helps protect us. You and I together in our shared quest to grow, to transform ourselves in order to become the people we say we want to become, we need all the tools we can find to help us, especially to help us develop a calm center and to develop compassion. We want to combat thoughts and behaviors that keep us spinning on the wheel of suffering, that creates hardship for ourselves and one another. We know there are enough chants. Oh, we know there's enough chaos in the world, don't we? Right? Don't we want to create more serenity, more sanity? His Holiness the Dalai Lama, at a workshop in Bloomington, Indiana several years ago, his brother lived in Bloomington, so he visited often. He said, all major faiths provide a ground of hope when we face difficulties. Hope is the greater force, full of compassion. So I'm going to close with a reminder that chants and mantras may extend to the secular world as well. For example, Gary Snyder, he wasn't a UU, but he gave a UU publication a poem that he wrote. He received, by the way, Gary Snyder was the one who got the Pulitzer Prize for a book of poems and essays titled Turtle Island in 1975. Maybe some of you recall. So he shared his sutra, a mantra he wrote in 1969 called the Smokey the Bear Sutra. It was published in the UU Sangha publication, page 7, in the summer of 2001. So I had to shorten the piece and edit it somewhat for the purpose of time. But listen to this. He wrote, once in the Jurassic period, about 150 million years ago, the great Sun Buddha in this corner of the infinite void gave a discourse to all the assembled elements and energies, to standing beings, to walking beings, to flying beings, to sitting beings, even grasses to the number of 13 billion, each one born from a seed. All that were assembled there. So the Buddha gave a discourse concerning enlightenment on the planet Earth. In some future time, he goes on, there will be a continent called America. The twisting strata of the great mountains and the pulsing of volcanoes are my love burning deep in the earth. In that future American era, I shall enter a new form to cure the world of loveless knowledge that seeks with blind hunger and mindless rage eating food that will not fill it. And he showed himself in the true form, that of Smokey the Bear. Do you have that image by any chance? A handsome, smoky-colored bear standing on hind legs, showing that he's watchful and aroused, bearing in his right paw, so maybe you can remember this, visualize it, right? He had a shovel in his right paw that digs to the truth beneath appearances, that cuts the roots of useless attachments and flings damp sand on the fires of greed and war. His left paw in the mudra of comradely display, indicating that all creatures have the right to live to their limits, and that deer, rabbits, chipmunks, snakes, dandelions, and lizards all grow in the realm of the Dharma, meaning the inherent and eternal law of nature. So wearing the blue work overalls, he goes on, symbolic of slaves and laborers, the countless individuals oppressed by a civilization that claims to save but often destroys. With a halo of smoke and flame behind, the forest fires of Kali. Kali is a god from Hinduism. Fires caused by the stupidity of those who think things can be gained and lost, whereas in the truth all is contained, vast and free in the blue sky and the green earth of one mind. Wrathful but calm, austere but comic, Smokey the Bear will illuminate those who would help him. But for those who would hinder or stand or slander him, he will put them out. This was his mantra, wrote Snyder. Thus, his great mantra, Nama Samanta Vajram Chandra Maharoshana Svatvya Aham Traks Ham Nam. Or, I dedicate myself to the universal diamond, be this raging fury destroyed. Smokey the Bear will protect those who love woods and rivers, gods and animals, hobos and mad persons, prisoners and sick people, musicians, playful people, and hopeful children. And if anyone is threatened by advertising, air pollution, television, or the police, they should chant the Smokey the Bear mantra. Now, before I share this with you, I have to tell you that the last word in this mantra, my mother said, you must never say this. It's like a cuss word. Well, now that I'm adult, I realize it's not a cuss word. It may not be the word that a refined woman should be saying. But I'm going to go ahead and read what the poet wrote. If anyone is threatened by advertising, air pollution, television, or the police, they should chant the Smokey the Bear mantra. Drown their butts, crush their butts, drown their butts, crush their butts. I dare you, at the next protest, you say the Smokey the Bear mantra. May it be so. Blessed be. Ashe, amen, and namaste.